Good evening and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. We are all here. I have Mr. Martin Leonardo, or at Marto Leonardo, who, if you weren't backstage, you weren't lucky enough to see backstage, was bopping along to that music, which is always good to see, Martin. How are you, my friend?
Oh, good. I actually do kind of like it. It's really catchy. It gets stuck in my head sometimes, even when it's finished. I'm like, like it is really good, catchy now. In fairness, so that was a good one. But I'm all good. So thanks, Rich.
Good man. And Kevin, Mr. KT AVFC, how are you doing, my friend?
Great, Rich. Great to be here. Great to be here as always.
Good. And we have a special guest to preview the upcoming game against Bournemouth, also to give us his season predictions. Craig, you'll have to say your channel because there's too many abbreviations there. But yeah, Craig, Bournemouth fan, tell us where you're from, mate.
So the channel name is Up the Cherries in All Departments. It's something that we've been saying at the ground for years. So yeah, I've been supporting the club for years. From the days of -17, where we didn't look like we are going to have a club anymore. Steve Fletcher popped up, Eddie Howe got in charge, and the rest, as they say, is history. And yeah, it's good to be back in the Premier League, even though, yeah, there's a few nerves around it, which of course I'm sure we'll come to.
Absolutely. But yeah, great that you managed to get up, and the Premier League is the place to be, even if it is going to be a potential season of struggle. It is still the place to be, mate. And you actually never know. Teams were saying, everyone was saying Brentford would be definitely relegated at the start of last season, and look what happened to them. So yeah, I know we'll get into it, but I know there's a bit of turmoil potentially. I know Scott Parker's not too happy, maybe putting a bit of pressure on the chairman, but we will get into that. But yes, mate, you just never know with the Premier League season, do you?
No, and look at what happened last time around. We were in the Premier League for 5 years. When we first went up to the Premier League, apart from 1 week, which was in November, we didn't really look like we were in any trouble whatsoever. And Eddie did a fantastic job. Then we got to 9th, and then I guess it slipped back. And I think we would have been okay had we not had COVID, because just before that happened, we drew 2-2 with Chelsea, and we went 1-0 up against Liverpool, and then got pegged to 2-1. Our following game after Project Restart was a 3-0 defeat against Crystal Palace. And I think after that, just the wheels fell off. We got beat 4-1 by Newcastle. Towards the end of the season, we started to pick things up. We got a very impressive result against Leicester, but it just wasn't enough. And one in Eddie's last game with us at Goodison Park against Everton, in a particularly good performance. So COVID just disrupted us, and I don't think we handled it particularly well during the lockdown period.
No, and I suppose just touching on that season, I mean, Kev, Villa managed to pull an absolute rabbit out of the hat with COVID coming along, but then with 4 games to go, managing to get those 8 points. I mean, not even the most die-hard Villa fan could have seen that coming.
Which, let's just tell the truth. Someone just forgot to turn on goal line technology.
Craig didn't want to mention it. He didn't want to mention it.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention it at all. Hawkeye, to be fair, I had Mark Housey on yesterday, and we went through Hawkeye and some of the decisions that we got go against us that season. The worst one, to be fair, the one that I, curse more than that was the game against Burnley. So we 1-0 down against Burnley. We seemed to be on the ascendancy. Burnley threw the ball into the box, and it was adjudged after 2 minutes to have touched Adam Smith's hand. However, between that time, we'd gone up the other end and scored what was a very, very good goal. So we thought we'd pulled it back to 1-1, and in the space of a minute later, we was 2-0 down. And yeah, that that was the game where
that was
I just
the
thought
harshest
it's
one,
just not our. I just didn't think it was our season. That we had some great spells, had some real good spells that year, but I'll say it again. COVID really disrupted us, and I think Ryan Fraser as well let down Eddie. He decided he wasn't going to play for the remainder of the season, and you could see Eddie seemed like a bit of a broken man against Everton, even though we got the win against his childhood team.
Yeah. I mean, that was a real sliding doors moment for us, wasn't it, Kev? That time.
I mean, literally hearing Craig talk then about all the reasons why he felt that Bournemouth went down, I was thinking there, it's literally the absolute antithesis of our situation, because COVID did basically save us. Although, that being said, we get a bit of grief for that that goal that should never have been chalked off. Obviously, one went over the line. But every team will have this situation where we'll be able to bring up examples of scenarios when we were also done out. A massive one for us is when we had that. I mean, it's a rarity in itself for Henry Lansbury to score, isn't it? And Henry Lansbury scored. I mean, he used to score for Forest for fun, but for Villa, I think he never scored once other than this. And he scored a perfectly good goal against Crystal Palace, and it was chalked off because Jack Grealish was done for simulation when he was both tackled from the side and from behind.
And that was a weird one too, because he got up straight away as if it was nothing.
Yeah, and as he was getting tackled, he passed the ball to the side, so he wasn't trying to get a free kick, and we scored.
Yeah. And he just gets up, and all of a sudden the ref blowed the whistle, and he was literally just about to stand up. So I don't know how that was given a dive.
Yeah, it was mad, and I think that whole season, particularly, or at least before this season, some of the decisions that were being made. I mean, I remember very well that Burnley-Bournemouth situation, because I remember thinking to myself, that is one of the most unfair things I think I've ever seen in the history of football. And when you're fighting for your life down the bottom of the table, these kind of situations, they matter. And then they bring VAR in. I mean, this is not a VAR podcast if I'm going to get into it. And arguably it gets worse. You're getting handballs. If it hit any part of your hand, obviously they changed that rule. There's still contentious penalties being given. So, look, I think we have to look at it and think, you know what? I'm the most positive Villa fan probably ever. I'm still, you've probably seen some of my predictions in the past. And even I was saying towards the end, we've gone. And I think, didn't Bournemouth get 7 points in the last 5 and we got 8? So I think literally like one point difference, because your goal difference was, I think, 1 goal better than us as well. One result, and that's it.
We beat Everton.
It was a Southampton game.
Leicester
for you. Didn't you 2-0 up against Southampton or something, and then lost 3-2, or drew 2-2? I can't remember now.
Yeah, we did play Southampton, towards the end of the season. From memory, I believe it was 2-0 defeat. I might be wrong in that. I'll have to. Yeah, it was a 2-0 defeat. But we won 2 games after the restart, and we drew against Spurs, which was a good performance again. But it's just such a shame how it all ended. And with VAR, I'm a great believer that decisions do seem to even themselves out over this course of a year. And with VAR, there's always that halt and that stop before you actually can celebrate a goal. And I guess it's taken a little bit out of it.
Yeah, because you see with Antonio, remember he used to do all these mad little celebrations with dances or walking up, kissing himself with the stand that he got. And he said literally on Sky Sports, I stopped doing that because I don't know whether I'm offside or I've hit off my hand now because of VAR.
Yeah, to be fair, I'd rather he didn't do those celebrations, but anyway, you are in the Premier League for this season at least, Craig, and we have done our Premier League predictions. So what I've done is I've split them into 5 sections. So champions, top 4, 5th to 10th, 11th to 17th, and then the dreaded R word. So we'll go through each of our predictions on each of those sections and discuss. If anyone wants to get involved in the comments, please do, and let us know your thoughts. As we always say as well, please give the video a like, and also we are 2 subscribers away from 160, which means we are also only 42 away from 200, which is phenomenal since we've only been running the channel properly for, I think it's just under 2 weeks now. So please do subscribe. Please give the video a like. That would be absolutely fantastic. So first of all, the champions. I don't think there's too many shocks here that we've gone between two teams. George and Sam, also podcast regulars. George has gone for Man City. Sam has gone for Liverpool. Martin, you've also gone for Liverpool. Craig, you've also gone for Liverpool. I've gone for Man City. And Kev, who did you go for? Seeing as you were a little late with your table.
Apologies. Apologies profusely. It's going to really ruin this podcast, isn't it?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I ruin it at the best of times, let alone when I don't send my stuff in. I went for Liverpool as well.
Okay, so you boys, what makes you feel that Liverpool just have the edge over City?
Well, to be honest, sorry. One thing that I think is Man City are going to be gunning for the Champions League this year, and I think that is going to be priority number one for Pep. It's something that they've never won. They've got close to, but they've never been able to get their hands on it. And I think that's his mission. I think it will take a little bit of the emphasis off the Premier League. And even though Liverpool have let go of Sadio Mane and he's gone, I still think that they're a strong team. And I think that they want to get a little bit further along than they did last year. To be fair, they were close. They were very, very close. And to be honest, on that final day, it could have gone either way. But
don't remind us about that final day, please, Greg.
No, but to be perfectly honest, I think it will be Liverpool that will be holding it, and they'll never let us. Everybody will know about it for the next 20 years.
Yeah, right. Martin, do you think what was it for yourself in terms of that tipped it in Liverpool's favour for you?
I just think there'd be a lot more hunger this year because they've missed out twice. I don't think Liverpool want them to have a three-peat. And the fact that they could have had a quadruple last year and lost basically on the basis of 2 games, I just think they're going to be really, really hungry. Like Craig touched on, Mane gone, but replacing him with Darwin Núñez. I know people can say what they want about his pre-season, whatever, but I still think he'll hit the ground running. Like, he got himself a goal there against Man City in the Community Shield. So, that just goes to show, some players can be terrible in pre-season, but when it comes to the actual season, it's a different player altogether. So, I just think Liverpool have the edge because I think Darwin Núñez is like a proper out-and-out striker for them, where they didn't really have that last season. They were kind of rotating between Jota, Diaz, Salah, all over the shop sort of thing on playing up top. So I think that's where that difference is going to be in Darwin Núñez for them, because he's going to have Salah, he's going to have Diaz, he's going to have a lot of good players behind him, just feeding them the ball. That's what I think. And with the Champions League as well, I think that probably will be City's priority. But I don't think they'll win that, which is why I think it's going to be an ultimate downfall, because there's just so many experienced teams in Champions League. So I can only really see City winning the FA Cup and the League Cup. That's it. So my basis on Liverpool in the league is Liverpool are just going to be that little bit more hungrier to win it and stopping Man City doing a three-peat.
Kev, would you concur?
Toss of a coin for me, really. I definitely get the Champions League point. I think City will be all guns blazing for that. But I think it's just the tale of the departures and the signings, really. I think they were so close. It was a hair's breadth between them last year. City have lost, I think they've let a few go, but major outgoings are admittedly not always starters, but valuable players like Zinchenko. Obviously, Sterling's gone as well, who's obviously, pretty big for them. They've obviously got a situation where Liverpool have lost Mane. So, there's a few losses there, isn't there, for both teams? Which one's going to be the worst? They've obviously lost Fernandinho, who was a really important player for them. They brought Calvin Phillips in. He's obviously got some track record of injuries. So, you look at this situation and think, if Haaland hits the ground running and Núñez doesn't, then it's going to go one way. If it's the other way around, then it'll be a different season. And look, you can say all you like, it takes strikers time to adjust the Premier League. I think I made that point in our podcast chat today about West Ham's new signing. But we've also seen plenty of situations where strikers have hit the ground running. So Haaland is an absolute class act, and he's got a lot more pedigree than Núñez has. So it's a watch this space situation. So I could have easily gone with City, but yeah, I just put Liverpool based on the Champions League.
Yeah, and it's also sorry, Rich.
I think that's what takes it over the edge for me with City is the Haaland factor. And I know he's been getting a lot of flack, but I do think that Grealish is gonna have a good season this season. I think for players it takes them a little bit of time to get used to Pep's way of playing.
Yeah,
and I think he will. I think he will get. I think it will click for him this season. So yeah, I just think that factor will just about tip them ahead of Liverpool, but they're so far ahead of the rest that it's stupid.
Let's be honest. Like, I think whoever wins them, like between the two, whoever wins like the most or gets the points off the most is realistically win the league. Like the two teams more comfortably and beating everybody else. It's whoever gets the most points out of the two of them coming up against each other. So it is a hard choice, but I think that's where one will win the league. If City takes 4 points off Liverpool, they've won the league. Or if Liverpool take 4 points off City, they've won the league. So that's just where the league is won now these days.
And just another prediction for Man City related. Obviously, now he's playing in the Premier League, Haaland's going to be a lot more known to us in the press and in the media. Guarantee if he's banging the goals in and England have a poor World Cup, which I'm not feeling too high in my hopes for the World Cup. Haaland was born in Leeds, wasn't he? So whole sense of like, oh my God, it could have been. I mean, obviously, he's always had Norway in his heart, I'm sure, but you know that'll be probably something that'll rear its head on it. You know, this striker who's banging in the goals in is probably the top scoring English-born striker in the Premier League, and we can't have him. So yeah, there you go. Never mind.
Unpopular opinion. I don't think Haaland's going to do that well, if I'm being honest.
We'll see. We will see.
We will watch his space.
We will see.
Strikers that'll come in.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see. James Saunders has gone for Tottenham, which is a massive call. Massive call. And Aaron's got his Villa tinted glasses on, saying, "Come on, man, we're going to win the league. Gerrard will fire us to the promised land." Well, that is some real optimism there.
Love it, Aaron. Absolutely love it, Aaron. Aaron's my favorite commenter, I think.
Yeah.
Aaron, whatever beer you're having, I'd love some of that.
Yeah. So top four now, lads. George has gone for, again, not too much difference here, but we will notice the big elephant in the room in a second. George has gone for Man City, obviously Liverpool second, Spurs third, and Arsenal fourth. Sam, Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, Chelsea. Martin, you've gone for Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, and Arsenal. Craig, Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, and Newcastle.
That's a big show.
I've gone for Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, and Arsenal. And Kev, you've gone for
exactly what Martin went for.
So Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, Arsenal. Excellent. So Craig, come to you first.
Yeah.
Newcastle, discuss.
Right. So Newcastle, once Eddie took over, from that point to the end of the season, I believe if you just took those points, they would have finished third in the league. The other thing as well that Eddie's always been very good at is if you look at our side from when we were promoted to the Premier League, there was a lot of players that had been journeymen. So you had the likes of Mark Pugh, Harry Arter, who was at Woking beforehand, Steve Cook, who wasn't actually fancied by Paul Groves, and then Eddie gave him his chance, believe it or not, against Scunthorpe, and he took it and was in the side ever since. What Eddie is very good at is taking a player who's average and then making him into a good player. And I think that's the basis of, and believe it or not, I think we've already seen it with one player at Newcastle from last season, and that's Joe Linton. Now, before Eddie got there, Joe Linton, I did not rate him at all. But, you know, he's turned into a good player. He's turned into a box player. And I think that is what Eddie does. You know, he's bought these players through from, you know, Bournemouth and, you know, got them to the Premier League. And then with this Newcastle team, I just think, you know, he's going to be starting and he's got money there. He's got money which he never had here. So even though their transfer dealings are modest, personally, I think Sven Botman is a fantastic signing. He's a very Eddie signing, but probably on a larger scale. That's why I've got them where they are. And I think there will be more activity, considering I think they'll probably get off to a very good start. I think they'll win against Nottingham Forest. And I think once the owners can see that Eddie's got a couple of wins under his belt in the first month, they will be happy for him to splash that cash towards the end of the transfer window. And that's what my basis is off. Harry Redknapp said I was barking mad when I made the prediction. I know somebody's put on there, what am I smoking? Not smoking anything, but at the same time,
well, whatever it is, we would love some of that, because then we would be saying Fulham win the league every year.
But to be fair, in the Eddie, in the Harry Redknapp preview show that we did, I actually had Newcastle to finish third, and I said, do you know what? I think they can do that. And yeah, so I've listened to Harry a little bit,
and you've put them to fourth.
And you, listen to Harry, and you put them one place down.
I think
Harry, if you're watching this, I apologise for the absolute obscurity this man has come in with.
I think where with Newcastle, I think it's a case of like that is maybe three players, I would say, off of that, of challenging for that. I still think that if they were to get one or two injuries, particularly up front, I think that's where they will really struggle. And the number of goals that you need to score, and then the number of the little number of goals you can concede generally to finish in that top four, I just don't think they've quite got it in them. But look, I admire your confidence. I admire you putting your neck on the line to have a big bold prediction. Martin, we've generally, all of us have gone for Tottenham in the top three. What's your thoughts on Tottenham? They've had some really good transfer business.
Yeah, I was nearly going to tip Tottenham second, just ahead of City, but I do think City will kind of just edge it because they're Man City. But a lot of Antonio Conte's side is always well drilled. The signings he makes, like he won the league with Victor Moses in right wing back. Like, that's just how good of a manager Conte is. He could, a bit like Eddie Howe, where Craig touched on, he can take an average player and make him unbelievable because of the way he plays. You know, like Eric Dyer, like probably a lot of people wouldn't have rated him, has now all of a sudden become a very decent centre-back under Conte. He brought in Langley on loan from Barcelona, which I think is a smart sign. It's a real Conte sign, you know, someone who probably not playing as much football, and then when he comes in, he's playing unbelievable. He's got Harry Kane at his disposal. He's got Heung-min Son at his disposal. He signed Richarlison. As much as I don't like Richarlison, I think he's a very Conte-like signing. He does a lot of work rate off the ball, and I think he's going to probably hit the ground running there. Højbjerg, who's someone I would have said, yeah, he's a good player. He does the job. But under Conte, he's real snappy now. It's like, yeah, move. Like, I think Spurs are really going to be a surprise package this year under Conte, because he now has a few signings under his belt. They're doing a pre-season with him as well. Because from what I believe, Conte's pre-season is literally just running, and very little football. So I think I nearly had them second place, just ahead of City, but only just that they would be there. But I still think they're a little bit away from breaking that top two gap. Probably a signing or two away.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm looking at this Spurs team from a managerial point of view and the signings that they've made, because it's Antonio Conte. Like, yeah. So that's where I've gone with that. So
yeah,
they'll be closer to second than they
very
are.
Close to second. It would be very close.
Yeah. Kev, did you Arsenal fourth? So that's pipping a couple of big clubs in the form of Chelsea,
Bournemouth,
possibly
Villa.
Yeah. But are you impressed with Arteta's dealings in the window as well?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, I made this point obviously to the detriment of City potentially, the departures of Zinchenko and Jesus, and you know, they've gone to Arsenal, and I do think they'll fit that system and that team very well. Look, I do think I do think it's not as standout as it would have been in the past. The top 4 used to be pretty much nailed on, didn't it, for about 10 years, pretty much. And now I think there could be other surprise packages. I probably just wasn't brave enough to stick in a Newcastle, although I actually do think that is an unbelievably mental decision. I think AFC Wimbledon have got more chance of finishing in the top 4 this year than Newcastle. Because I don't think, I think I hear what you say about the momentum they got under Howe, but let's be clear, who have they got as decent? I mean, as in like top 4 decent. Yeah, I mean, Target left back, fine. You know, Villa jettisoned him and brought Dina in. I'm not saying he's not a good solid player, Target. I like Target, solid. He's not a top 4 left back. They bought Pope in. Okay, great keeper. I thought Dubravka was a great keeper. So, I mean, they're all thereabouts. Botman's highly rated, but played for Hill for 2 years. And I'm not saying he's not going to be brilliant and take the Premier League by storm, but he's not an international yet. He's young. I mean, I'm sure he will be good. But who they've got up front? Wilson is always injured. They've got Wood, who I'll probably score more next season than Wood would in the Premier League. Like, who else they got? Sam Maximum's always injured. That Bruno Guimaraes is a good player, absolutely. But
yeah, that's who I was thinking.
Not like they've got loads. Not like they've got loads of players. I mean, I think Leicester have got a better squad than Newcastle. I don't know. Newcastle's trying to buy half Leicester's squad. Barnes and Maddison linked in, but I don't know. I just don't think they're anywhere near that. I mean, look, you can get momentum, you can get the train moving, you can see what happens, but yeah, for me, I just think that Arsenal and Spurs' business has been the best, and I also think that Man United and West Ham haven't done enough to be considered getting in there, and Chelsea have had a really bit of an up and down few months, haven't they? And admittedly, they've brought a couple of players lately, but I'm not sure kind of Chukwuemeka is going to take them to 4th, basically. So there you go.
My brother's a Chelsea fan, actually, and he said to me, like, Carney Chukwuemeka, welcome to Chelsea's under-23s.
There you go.
Well, let's talk Chelsea, because 5th to 10th, I think the majority of us have that have Chelsea in 5th. I think personally, I do think they'll just miss out on it, because I just feel like that they've had a bit too much of a scattergun approach to the transfer market at the moment, and they just seem to be trying to sign anybody. They've lost out on a couple of centre backs that they were trying to sign. They've tried now for Fofana. Leicester are holding out for 70 million. They might not even get him. And I know we don't take too much into pre-season, but when you're getting beaten 4-0 against Arsenal in pre-season friendlies, it doesn't bode well, and the manager Tuchel is already getting very, very tense. So, 5th place, if they don't get off to a good start, they could be looking at maybe even lower down. But Craig, I'll come to you first, mate. You've gone Chelsea in there. You've gone Leicester in the top 6 still. So obviously, your thoughts on that? Arsenal 7th, Man United 8th, West Ham 9th, and Villa 10th.
Craig, where are you moving with this Premier League table? Like.
Personally, I think Brendan Rodgers has done a marvellous job at Leicester. Maybe not as well as Claudio Ranieri, but I think he is going to get the consistency out of that side. I don't think they're going to be that exciting, but I think they will get the job done. And even though there is a couple of outgoings, they haven't spent anything at all. I think that Leicester will be okay. I don't know about Arsenal. Arteta's a decent manager, but I just feel a little bit disjointed for me. The big one there is Man United. They're just a complete mess. You've got Ronaldo doing what he's doing at the moment. Of course, nobody's ever really replaced Sir Alex Ferguson, and I just can't. I think they're quite some way off. I know the guy that who come on my Harry Redknapp season preview show. He said that they'd finish 5th. I just can't see it. I can't see it. I think they're a bit further back than that, and I think they will be quite a way off the top 3.
Fair. Martin, you've gone slightly different than Craig. Chelsea 5th, West Ham 6th, Man United 7th, Villa 8th, Newcastle 9th, and Wolves 10th. So you've got Villa in 8th, but you've got West Ham gatecrashing the top 6, mate.
Yeah, like I've gone with West Ham above Man United. Because I think United have done West Ham. Yeah, West Ham United. They've done a bit more than Man United in the window. Signed a striker, a centre back, plenty of other positions as well. And I went with Villa 8 because, like I said, I think the gap between 4th to 7th is still a lot away, regardless of the position Man United are in and how bad they're playing football. But sometimes they still get results here and there, and it's just really annoying. And I think an 8th place finish for us would be, regardless of a little bit successful and a cup run. It's hard to predict that top 7 because you never know. Like all of a sudden, like with us saying Chelsea's 5th, all of a sudden they could finish 3rd, or Spurs could be.
Of course, of course.
Like, it all depends on the results against each other.
We're expecting that. I'm not expecting any of these predictions to come true in any way, shape, or form. But
how dare you say that, Richard?
well, let's
put lots of time into this. I got it to at least 20 minutes before the pod.
Exactly, clearly. So let's talk through yours. So you've gone Chelsea 5th, West Ham 6th, Man United 7th, Villa 8th, Newcastle 9th, and Crystal Palace in 10th.
Yeah, I've got mine actually quite similar to yours. Yours and mine's actually just a couple of them flipped around.
Yeah.
I do think that, look, when I did my predictions, as in what I thought would happen, I really struggled to get Villa below 4th. I mean, I look at those teams, admittedly, probably with the same rose-tinted glasses that all fans wear, and I think we've got a better squad than Man United. And for that time, even saying that is unbelievable. You know, when we made the pre-season friendly against them, look at their bench compared to our bench.
Kevin, what you're saying is perfectly reasonable because Craig here has Newcastle in 4th.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but I think we have to probably have to just all put our predictions in again. I promise I'll get it on time this time, sir. Right, when the transfer window closes, because this would be a totally different conversation if, as we've had it in the comments, Leicester lose, some of their players. I haven't got Leicester in the top 10 as well because Rodgers has come out and said they're going to have to sell.
Yeah,
only team in the top 5 leagues in all of Europe. They haven't bought anybody. And even if they do lose one of those players, you've got to also understand that they've also lost a massive player in terms of the squad. Well, in terms of the squad, in terms of Kasper Schmeichel, he's been there, almost 8 years. He's won Championship promotion, Premier League, FA Cup, and admittedly he might be losing it a bit, but he's a big presence. Vardy's getting older. He's having his injuries, and if you lose someone like a Fofana, Tielemans, or Maddison, I just feel like they're going the other way. I feel like Man United are going the other way. And Ten Hag's going to get a real baptism of fire. And teams like Villa, West Ham, Man United, I wouldn't be surprised if any of them. I could flip that thing on its head. The one that I put at the end, Palace, was I just think Palace have got a good squad. I think Vieira's done a good job, and I just think they won't be probably quite strong enough to push on further than that. But they have got a real physical, imposing team. They're dangerous on the break. They've got some good defenders. I think they're a decent outfit, and I think it's teams like Palace, I think, will be some of the ones that will take some points off some of the big teams, and that could really affect the top 4 race.
Like I don't. Yeah, if I'm sorry, Rich, just before you start there, if I'm wrong, sorry. Have Bournemouth actually signed anybody? Because I'm not seeing anything with Bournemouth. So, Craig, can you just touch the light on that?
So we've signed 3 players so far. So those are Ryan Fredericks was the first one that come through the door. Of course, right back from West Ham. Joe Rothwell coming from Blackburn Rovers. Again, a free transfer like Fredericks. And then we've signed Marcus Tavernier from Middlesbrough for 10 million the other day. I'll come back to, what our big problem is in a bit, but they're all, well, apart from Fredericks, which is a right back, which is Adam Smith's position.
Yeah.
The other 2 are midfielders, and you look at our midfield, and I don't know why we're actually signing midfielders.
I just haven't seen much on Bournemouth's kind of transfer going, so that's why I just thought I'd ask yourself because you'd know more than me. So on that part.
So in terms of quickly just going 5th to 10th for myself, I've got Crystal Palace in 8th, actually, because I agree with you, Kev, that they're a top squad. I think they've made some really good signings, and when we saw Palace obviously I saw them at Villa against them twice last season, once away and obviously at home. And the home game, I just thought they were such a big team.
Yeah,
and I think they've got a massive presence in that. And I think, like you said, I think they're going to take some points off some of the big clubs. I've got us in 9th. I've been pretty consistent with that on your show, Craig. I said Villa would finish 9th, and then Newcastle in 10th. Few comments coming in, so I'll quickly go through the comments. Then we'll quickly do 11th to 17th, and then we'll have a good chat about the relegation. So Aaron has said Villa will finish 6th, which is really optimistic, which is great. Espen said Leicester are about to lose Tielemans, Maddison and Fofana. Doesn't think they'll finish in the top 10.
That was my reason.
We're in a good place right now from Aaron. Other clubs are panicking and are not ready. We are going to pounce. Great optimism. So Espen said they're just touching on more on Leicester. They can bring in new players, but they have no chance of replacing with the same quality. I think that's the thing. Like, if they lose players, it's the time.
Late in the window as well. So like, it's like they probably should have done their business a bit earlier if they knew they were going to lose some players. Like, you know.
Yeah. James Saunders, Villa 7th. Villa 7th. Apparently, we're going to buy number 8, which would be great if we could get another signing. We've got a question in here for you, James, but I'll leave that till we talk about Bournemouth in terms of the pre-season, the first game of the season, the preview. Espen talks about saying Wolves will struggle, so that takes us nicely into 11th to 17th, because I noticed nobody had Wolves in the top 10. So Craig, you've got Wolves 11th. Oh, sorry, Martin, you did. Yes, you've got Wolves 11th. Palace 12th, Brighton 13th, Forest 14th, Brentford 15th, Bournemouth 16th, and Everton 17th. So, yeah, just a quick overview on that, mate, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. I think Wolves are a decent side. I think they're not what they were under Nuno Espirito Santo. So I think they have gone backwards a little bit, but they're still a good side. Crystal Palace, actually, I wanted to come to that, have got some really good youngsters, and Vieira's building a decent side there. Michael Elise is there. Erebeshi Aze is there. 2 very, very good quality players. So I think that they will grow. Looking at the other end of it, well, Nottingham Forest I've put 14th. I think they could be the ones that could go either way, because of the amount of players that they've signed. When they went up, they had so many loan players for that playoff final that they had to spend big. And they bought well. I think Steve Cooper is a good manager, but I think they could struggle to gel, or they could really take off. But looking at the other end, I think maybe my heart is speaking more than my head for us for 16th at this moment in time. But there's another reason why I think we might finish 16th, is because our first 4 games, so we've got yourselves, of course, on Saturday. Then we've got Manchester City, we've got Liverpool and Arsenal. Now, to be fair, with a strong squad and a squad with, 2 quality centre-backs, we'd probably still lose those games.
Yeah.
We'd still probably lose those games. So I think that's a good thing, in a sense, that yes, we might be in the bottom 3 after 4 matches. We might not even have a point after those 4 matches, but we've got that bit of time. The side that I put below us, Everton, they could easily go down. They haven't done anything of note. They're in financial mess. Calvert-Lewin is now out for a prolonged period of time. And if I was an Everton fan, I'd be very, very worried.
Yeah, I agree. Martin, you've got, let me just get rid of my little banner there. You've got Crystal Palace 11th, Brentford 12th, Brighton 13th, Southampton 14th, Leicester 15th, Leeds 16th, and Nottingham Forest just about staying up in 17th. So you've got, Leicester very low in the table. And Forest just about staying up, mate.
Yeah, I've gone with Leicester very low in the table because I just think that, like, with previous history shows, like with Brendan Rodgers, when he has a player like who's literally hitting in his mid-30s, like with Jamie Vardy is at the minute, his role tends to start to become a bit more part-time. Like we've seen it when he Colo Torre at Celtic, Steven Gerrard at Liverpool, might have been a player or two at Swansea, I don't know. And now it's starting to come to Jamie Vardy. And it kind of showed a little bit last season where Nacho was starting to get ahead of him a little bit. And it looks like they're going to be losing Fofana, James Maddison, and I don't know why they didn't take 50 million in the first place for him. I would have bit the hand off Newcastle for that and run away with that money. And in terms of Nottingham Forest, it was kind of similar to us when we first came up, signing players all over the place and just about scraping it. Like I think Forest will just scrape. I think they'll probably stay up by a point or two. That's it. And so with regards there to Southampton, they'll have, where about them, 14th or 13th again?
Let's just check. Yeah, Southampton in 14th. Yeah.
I went with them there. Like a lot of people aren't tipping them to do well, but I think they'll be okay because they still have James Ward-Prowse, where a lot of his set pieces, he tends to pick up a few points from these games or that game, you know. So I think Southampton are fine in that department. Brighton in 13th. I don't think Brighton are going to do too well. They haven't really done a lot in the window. Only signed a player or two. Losing Basuma, arguably their best player. Crystal Palace, I've gotten 11th. I was probably a bit harsh on them. Probably should have had them finishing in 10th, but I just think Wolves are really well drilled to have them finishing in 10th. And that's what I've gone with. It's like I said, it's really hard to pick a table. Like, you know, for all I know, that could be all wrong, and then literally all them teams can be the top half for all I know. You know, it's such a long season, and then you have the World Cup break as well coming in the winter. So like one of them teams could benefit from that and just hit the ground run.
Yeah. Kev, quickly on yours, you've got Leicester 11th, Wolves 12th, Brighton 13th, same, Southampton 14th, Brentford 15th, Leeds 16th, and again Forest just about scraping it in 17th. Little brief word on Forest. What are you thinking? They've just about got enough?
Yeah, look, Forest, exactly like us, they've got no choice really. When you need to get loads of players in, then and you've got a certain budget because you're just back in the Premier League. Villa did it, wasn't it? 12 players in, £120 million spent. Yeah. With that, you are going to get a certain quality of player that the other teams are going to go for. I just think that, you know, they might get that classic sort of, because they've been away for long enough. I wouldn't say this for a team, let's say, like if Watford get promoted next year or Bournemouth or Fulham this year, where you get that kind of momentum for being back in the Premier League. Forest have been away so long, like Leeds did, obviously, when they came back, like Sheffield United did when they came back. I think they might get a bit of momentum. City ground will be a difficult ground to go to. Lingard gets his scoring boots on early doors. All of a sudden, they get a few points on the board and have a bit of momentum from that. The rest of it, look, Leicester, Wolves, Brighton are interchangeable. There's good things and bad things. Brighton lose Bissouma and Cucurella almost certainly soon. Wouldn't surprise me they brought in a couple of players that no one's ever heard of who turn out to be amazing. So, you know, he's done such a good job, Potter, and while he's still there, I think they'll be fine. I do think some of those other teams, Southampton, Brentford, Leeds, could easily be could be in the bottom three. But they're all. I don't think any of them have done it enough to impress. I do worry about Brentford a little bit. Second season syndrome, yeah. But we'll see. But I do think that there's three of the teams I think will struggle more as we'll go on to, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, now the big one. The big one is the old dreaded R word. So I've gone for Southampton in 18th place. Sorry, Craig, Bournemouth in 19th. I didn't put you bottom. I've put Fulham bottom. Just to make you feel a little bit better. But yeah, I think Southampton. I just don't see what they've done in the window as much. I know they've signed a couple of young players. One younger player from Man City, one younger player from abroad. I know they've got Joe Aribo as well, but I just don't think they've quite got enough. And Villa flirted with that relegation so many times, and that they always have some massive defeats and then seem to turn it around across the season. But I just don't think they're going to do it this year. And then, Bournemouth and Fulham, I think it's going to be really tough for them. Obviously, Fulham with Mitrovic, he's never quite done it in the Premier League, so they're relying on him. They've signed one or two players, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough for them. Craig, you obviously have got Bournemouth staying up, which I admire the optimism. You have to back your team. So you've gone Fulham, Southampton and Leeds. Talk us through, obviously, Leeds, big club. What's your thoughts there? And obviously Southampton, again, been in the Premier League quite a while, like I've said, but are you thinking their time's running out as well?
I think so. Starting off with Leeds, Rafinha and also Calvin Phillips, both gone. And I think if it was Marcelo Bielsa still in charge at Elland Road, I think we'd probably be predicting them to stay up. But Jess March, I just don't think, he's that great a manager. And I really do think that they're going to struggle. And I think they will finish bottom. They were very, very close to being relegated last season. And it was only because Brentford self-imploded that, allowed them to really take advantage of Burnley coming up against a decent Newcastle side. So I think that's personally the main reason behind Leeds. They're very lucky to even be here. With Southampton, I know that there's a number of clubs looking at James Ward-Prowse, and I think, being so close to Southampton as well, that is the rumour that we've heard as well. That there's some big clubs looking at James Ward-Prowse. If James Ward-Prowse goes or gets injured, then I think they'll be stuck. And they have signed Aribo. They've done some decent business, but and you look at their academy. Southampton did have, for a long period of time, one of the best academies in this country.
Yeah,
but
actually,
what's come out of it over the past couple of years? Not much.
Not great.
Not much at all. And finally, Fulham. For the reasons you gave, Mitrovic just hasn't done it in the Premier League, and I think he's going to struggle being that target man. Yeah, he got 40 in the Championship, but there's a difference of coming up against a team like Man City, like Aston Villa, comparing to a team like Reading or Derby or Peterborough, where he did score a lot of goals. I think Fulham won 7-0 against Reading. I think they beat Blackburn by the same figure. To be fair, a lot of those goals were against teams that you would expect Fulham to beat. I think it's in a completely different ballpark in the Premier League.
Yeah. Kev, I've looking at yours, and you've got a big club in that bottom three. So you've got Bournemouth in 20th position, Fulham in 19th, and you've gone for Everton in 18th. That would suggest that Mr. Frank Lampard is not going to have a good season.
I mean, they lost 4-0 to Minnesota, didn't they, in pre-season? His interview afterwards was, again, pretty revealing. He obviously did that unbelievable interview before the end of the season when, we all thought that was it. Lights were getting turned off, and then he managed to somehow turn it around. But I do totally agree, Craig. That was down to more Burnley's implosion, I think, than that. And they were backs to the wall with a few results, weren't they, Everton? I just don't think they've done anything. Obviously they've lost Calvert-Lewin again. And he's, he didn't have a great season last year for injuries, and he's out for another month. Richarlison's their talisman, and I don't even think he's that good. But he's not like you thought he'd be that mercurial talent, like he was a little bit at Watford, scoring amazing goals. He's more scuffing him into the ground, but getting him over the line, isn't he, in terms of finishing? With him gone, I think they've got a really bang average squad. I think they've got a poor squad, actually. And I don't think Lampard's got an unbelievable track record of being in this position in the past. And you can say it was last season, but, to do it twice in a row, Villa know when you circle the plug hole for a bit, at some point, the momentum takes you down. So I think Everton are going to go. Fulham, I need to get Fulham out of it. I did chop and change, and it's why it took me so long to get it to you. Mitrovic, I actually think is going to have an all right season. And Mitrovic I think he got 11 goals in the season. Because I looked at this because I put him on my fantasy league team, right? 11 goals in the season. The second time ago that Fulham were back, and then the last time he only got 3, but he didn't play the full amount of games. Played like 25 games or something. I think he'll score. I think he's. I think that season in the Championship will really give him a lot of confidence, and I think he'll a lot of vim and vigor on the back of that. So, but I don't think generally they'll maybe have enough. And Bournemouth, it pains me to say, but Scott Parker's talking like, you know, he's been told he's got about 3 weeks left to live at the moment. You know, it's doom and gloom. Your record signings are out. You're a bit short in terms of the squad. When you're saying that for the start of the season, I admittedly might be trying to get the board to react, but unless he's trying to lull us in a false sense of security and you're going to beat us 5-0. But I just think that those kind of signs are worrying when you think you come back to the Premier League. So pains me to say it, Craig, but I don't feel like you've got much of a chance. Sorry, mate.
And Martin, again, I think you're matching Kev there. So yeah, Everton, Fulham, Bournemouth. Similar reasons for yourself.
First off, Kevin's actually matching me. I actually had all my stuff.
Oh yes, I apologise. Yeah,
I think Kevin just went. No, I'm just going to go what Martin goes with. So then it's a safe option.
Well, I did forward him the email that you sent me.
Yeah, so, yeah. Absolutely. I went with Bournemouth bottom because I just think I've seen earlier today that they're really struggling defensively, and Craig, obviously I said to you the backstage part that they've lost 8 defenders, and like Scott Parker said, it's an absolute like shambles, basically. And I just think they really struggled this year. I know they tied Solanke down to a new 4-year deal. I don't know whether that was today or yesterday. But I just think they're really, really going to struggle. Like Solanke is another type of man. Like Mitrovic, I look at great in the Championship, but in the Premier League, not so much. You know, because it's such a big divide. With Fulham in 19th, look, Fulham, congratulations. You've won the league in 23-24 in the Championship. They're just a classic yo-yo club. Up and down. You know, they haven't even played Norwich in a league game for how many years now? So they're just ridiculous, just up and down. They spend mad money, Fulham, whenever they come up, and it's just not really quality to keep them in the league. I've gone with Everton because they spent 20 million on McNeil with 0 goals and 1 assist. Right, James Tarkowski, free transfer, centre back, probably needed it. Vinagre, third choice at Wolves. You know, Ant Nuri was ahead of him. I can't remember who else was ahead of him, but like he was definitely the third choice. The DCL now is out for a good amount of time now. Looks like they're going to get Emmanuel Dennis, but is he their answer? I don't think so. I just think Everton are really, really going to struggle this year because I'm just looking at their squad and I'm like, it's like if they want to play FIFA career mode and it's just gone to shit.
I don't think they've done enough from last season to get rid of that hangover. If you look at teams like Forest, what an unbelievable high that was from when Cooper took over. You know, they would have been automatic. Would it maybe have been champions or second spot? They would have gone if they were from when he took over. They were bottom of the league after 7 games, don't they? When you think about things like that for Forest, when you think about things like, look, I think Jesse Marsh, for all the grief he got of being like, you know, Ted Lasso. I think he did all right, and I think we don't know too much about the players he's brought in, but I think that Bielsa, they were dropping like a stone.
Yeah, and I think Leeds will be fine. Like I know he's
getting had loads of injuries as well. They had loads of injuries.
I know he's getting a load of Ted Lasso comparisons at the minute, but I still think like Leeds will be fine. So I just think with Bournemouth, Fulham, and Everton, like I just looking at them 3 teams. No disrespect, Craig, but I just can't see them staying up with the way that the quality has gone with the other signings of the teams that they've gone with. So it's like I said, like for all I know, Fulham could stay up, Bournemouth could stay up, and Everton could stay up. Like my bottom 3 could be completely fucking wrong.
I think it's just important to have a good start, isn't it, for these teams, because it gets harder and harder. When you're adrift, when you've got a threadbare squad and you've not got loads of money to change it in January, you need to be there or thereabouts. If you're adrift somewhat, you're not going to. I don't think you're going to find that form from somewhere when you haven't got history of it in the league. If any of these teams can have a good start, then that momentum I think can get you somewhere.
Yeah. absolutely. So, a couple of comments just to close this season predictions out. But yeah, really good comments, guys, and thanks for your end of season predictions. As I say, I'm sure they will all be wrong come the end of the season, and Bournemouth will win the league or something like that. Espen said Leeds have brought in some good players and absolutely have a chance to figure it out. I think that is. And Everton will up their game, and he's confident that they will survive. Does feel that Southampton are going to struggle, and they're potentially just a world-class championship club, and predicts them to struggle and go down. And also heard a pundit say today the way Forest play suits survival better than Bournemouth and Fulham, and they play narrower and with more bite. I do think their home crowd as well will take them through a lot of games. But there's one question that James has asked, and this takes us in nicely into the Bournemouth preview. Craig, is obviously new signings are needed, and there's a couple of players that are on Villa's sort of transfer list at the moment. So yeah, moving into sort of the players, I know. Martin asked you about who has been signed, and I'm sure they're looking to do deals as the season starts. Would you take El Ghazi and Courtney Hawes from Aston Villa? And have you heard any rumours about you going after any Villa players?
I personally put them in a taxi myself, Craig, and bring them to Bournemouth.
To be honest, I think that's unfair. That is, Mark. That's unfair.
To be you know what? Then make you happy. I'll put Marvellous Nakamba in there for you.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Let's look. I might as well discuss our defence at the moment.
Yeah.
So, which is, to be fair, I think Scott Parker's got a valid point. Probably didn't need to air it in the media, but I'm sure he's been knocking on the door and saying, "Look, we need to do something, and we need to do something now." The big problem that we've got is Zamora is on the left-hand side. Zamora's a good player. He's a young player, very, very talented. What happens if he gets injured? Then we've got Lloyd Kelly as central defender. Again, a good defender, highly rated. I think he will be fine in the Premier League. And then you come to his partner, which he had 3 last season. So we started off with 4 to be fair. We started off with Zeno Ibsen Rossi, who is now at Cambridge United. He actually did quite well in the few games that he played for us. Then we brought in Gary Cahill, and sensible signing. He did outstanding. We ended up with 37 points from 15 games. Really good return. It was partly down to that start why we're back in the Premier League, because there was times when it did look like it was going off the rails. Of course, Cahill got injured, and good friend Steve Cook then partnered Lloyd Kelly, and I thought, oh, that's great. Steve Cook, absolute Bournemouth legend. He threw himself in front of the ball against Fulham twice. And I tell you what, it is worth searching, that Fulham game, at Craven Cottage. It was an outstanding performance. And then we sold him to Forest. And I thought, what the bloody hell have we done that for? Because he's a talented defender. He knows the club inside out. He loves the club. Like I say, I know him quite well, and he didn't want to leave the club. He didn't want to leave the club. I can assure you of that. He didn't want to leave the club, but because something had happened in the background, that's why he went to Forest.
And then thing, is it, Craig?
I'm not sure, but when you look at the other players that Scott Parker, has kept on, I can't say that Steve Cook was on that much more, if at all, than the likes of Jefferson Lerma, than Phil Billing. We then had Nat Phillips come in on loan, and Nat Phillips, apart from a dodgy game against Boreham Wood, was really, really good. And they seem to have stalled on that. They just seem to have stalled on it. I would have got Nat Phillips in straight away. And going back to James's question, at the moment, we have got the choice of Chris Metham, who personally I don't think is that great a defender. He's done well for Wales, but I just don't have much faith in him. He gave away a stupid free kick and then got sent off for it against Brentford in the playoff final a couple of years back. Playoff semi-final, I should say, a couple of years back. Or we've got James Hill, who's played one game for the club and was previously playing for Fleetwood Town, right down the bottom of League One. So there's no way we can go into a Premier League season. And I think, if El Ghazi and House were offered to us, and I think we'd have to take him at this point. If we can get Nat Phillips back, they might just be backup, but it's better than the backup that we've currently got, which is just James Hill, because I think Metham will start against yourselves.
And what rumours have you heard? Because I've seen that. I've seen on like the Sky Sports News today that they're potentially in for 2 or 3 players. I couldn't see that they were being named. So what are you hearing on the grapevine around Bournemouth about who they're potentially looking at?
So Neto from Barcelona as a backup goalkeeper. At the moment, we've got Mark Travers in goal, but his understudy at the moment is a gentleman called Will Dennis. I think he will be good in the long run. We do produce a lot of good goalkeepers, but is he ready for it now? No, most definitely not. And I think he needs a loan spell to League One, and probably a poor League One side as well. So he'll be facing a lot of shots. So that's good. In the defensive department, Mark McAdam has actually come out and said that we've got bids in for 3 central defenders. Now, who those are, I'm not sure. We were linked earlier on in the window to Itakura, who's at Man City, was at Schalke last season, helped them get promotion. So he potentially could be one. I think Nat Phillips is probably one. Apart from that, I'm not sure. There was talk actually about a player from Feyenoord, and I do apologise to him if he's if I ruin his name, but I think it was Sensenai, Argentine defender, and supposedly
bit of a stretch, don't you think? I think he'd be going for a bit of a higher up the table sort of team. Like, no disrespect to yourself, Craig, but it's just a level that he's playing at.
Yeah, I think sometimes
that lure of Premier League football can be.
Yeah, and money talks. Well, like we've seen it with remember Michael Siri, like when he went to Fulham, and he was linked like Liverpool, United, and like all these sort of teams. So yeah, that type of move probably wouldn't surprise me. So sorry, Greg, continue on.
No, that's all right. So that's the problem with the defence, I think. The midfield, though, is strong, and I think is probably Premier League quality. I think that is, and if you want me to go through that, I will do. So we have got Phil Billing, Jefferson Lerma, Lewis Cook. We've also got some players that do like to be tough in the tackle. Ben Pearson, very good player. Of course, Tavernier, who will be playing on the left-hand side, I believe. I think that Scott Parker will go, and in my lineup that I sent over, I do think Scott Parker will go with Jaden Anthony. However, is Anthony ready for this?
Have a little look now. So we've got your lineup on there now, Craig. So you've got Lerma, Billing, Anthony on that left-hand side, Cook in the midfield as well alongside Billing, and then Christie on the right-hand side. So you're saying the midfield is obviously packing that midfield. Is that something that Parker likes to do? Could you see yourselves trying to keep the ball from Villa?
Yeah,
and is Brooks back? The young Welsh lad, is he back from his cancer situation?
He's been given the all clear, thankfully. I think he is on his way back. I think this game is probably going to be a bit too early for him.
Yeah.
But from the grapevine that I've heard, we'll probably be looking at him making an appearance around about September time.
It'd be great to
so-
see him back, because all that happening to him. Yeah.
To be fair, I thought that he would be out for the most of this season, but September, if that is true, and of course I don't know the club doctors, that is really, really good news. But I think the midfield is our strongest position, and we do have a Premier League midfield.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I think we could be okay.
Good. Okay. Well, I'll come back to you in a second, Craig, because that's a great sort of synopsis on Bournemouth. You've given us a real insight, because, like Martin said before, we haven't really heard a lot about Bournemouth, in the press. As a newly promoted team, it's kind of been all dominated by Nottingham Forest, and I know it's generally driven by signings, but I guess they are definitely a Premier League team, and it's good to get that kind of insight into what's happening at the club. And you sometimes you forget the players that are still there that have got them into the Premier League, and sometimes the clubs we're that desperate for new signings that sometimes it's just like, well, go with what you've got. If you've got a settled side, if you know how to play, you stick to that. But Kev, I'll come to you, mate. In terms of Villa, been a fairly quiet week in terms of the news from the club. Obviously, Chukwuemeka's gone to Chelsea for 20 million. We discussed that on our little video the other day. If you haven't watched it, check that out. Kev was live from his car. But yeah, with Villa, obviously McGinn captain, and has done an interview today. But what do you see from Villa, and how much are you looking forward to this game and seeing what this new Villa under Steven Gerrard, in terms of getting a full pre-season behind them, is going to be like?
Well, all the signs are positive, aren't they? You win every pre-season game except for the one you draw against Man United, and that was a game when you were 2-0 down. So there's positivity all around with the results. I think if Villa had spread their signings out rather than making them all at the start, Villa fans would be a lot more chilled out. If it had been last week, we'd signed Diego Carlos from Seville, and the week before we'd signed Kamara, and the week before that we'd confirmed Coutinho, it would be very different. But look, it's all positive. I think McGinn, captain, I'm sure he'll do a great job. I think it will galvanise him, but it's still a bit unconvincing, and I think a lot of Villa fans think that, and I think a lot of Villa fans think we're probably a little bit short in terms of probably an attacking midfielder / striker wide player, or i.e. someone that can play all those roles, or ideally two players. I think you've asked a lot of Villa fans. I think a lot of Villa fans think we're pretty set in the defence and goalkeeping department. So I'm really looking forward to see, now it's a real game, no disrespect to the pre-season opposition, how do Villa perform? Do we actually put to bed any of those slight concerns that the fan base have got? And to be fair, I've also seen Gary Neville's mentioned it in the media. I think someone else mentioned it, that they're worried for Steven Gerrard. So, if Steven Gerrard is the kind of guy that I think he is, he'll be using that to motivate him and motivate the team. People are questioning us. People are questioning me. Let's go and show them what we're all about. And I think that's almost think that's good news for Villa rather than bad news for Villa, because sometimes when you get a bit comfy, I think it's all going to be too great. That's when you can get burnt. So I'm really looking forward to it. I can't see anything other than a Villa win. And I hope it gives us some momentum to kick the season off in style, really.
Yeah. Martin, do the comments from Scott Parker worry you a little bit in terms of, all the signs are pointing to a 100% Villa win, and I know you can never be 100%, but all those signs in terms of what he's saying in the media, and Craig said maybe he shouldn't have gone to the press, but he has done. Is that now pointing to the fact that they're going to beat us 1-0, or are you really confident on it?
I would like to think I'm confident, but record shows when everything is in favour of Villa, it really isn't. Like, it's just going on record, John. But obviously, it's a new season. I'm trying to be optimistic, and I really can't see anything else other than the Villa win. Because it's a new Bournemouth have just gone up. Their defensive situation seems to be a bit of a shambles. But we look at it last season, we would have said we would take 6 points off Watford, and we got 0, but yet somehow we took 4 points off Man United. That is just us in a nutshell. So,
Gazza's reading your mind there. Look what Watford did first game of the
exactly.
last season.
So like it just goes to show, like, and anything is in favor of Villa, it's really not. Like, it's the hope that kills you. It's like, oh yes, Bournemouth are in a little bit of shambles. Can't wait for this weekend, and then probably 3-0 Bournemouth.
No, yeah. Do you know why I think that's different now? I just think we're more robust now. I think if you look at that team last season, there were still some players in that team, and you were like,
but when we were on it last season at the start, we were thinking, oh yeah, we got Danny Ings, we got Leon Bailey, we've brought in these players, and we're going to absolutely clean Watford out of it. And they were 3-0 up at half time.
I mean, they really caught us cold, didn't they? But
yeah, like,
we'd had a lot more of a problematic pre-season. We'd have everything Grealish. Obviously, most of our coaching staff left.
Like, personally, I think we will beat Bournemouth, but I'm trying not to be like overconfident about this because, like I said, anything that's in favour of Villa tends not to be in favour of Villa, and anything that's not in favour of Villa seems to be in favour of Villa. So, like as I said, that's the beauty of football.
One other thing I'd just add to that quickly as well. Last season in that team, we had Target starting left back. We've now got Digne. We had Nakamba starting in midfield. We've now got Kamara. We had Ashley Young.
Nakamba's done a decent job.
Ashley Young, good player, absolutely good player, but 36, 37 years old on one side and Anwar El Ghazi on the other side. When you're now replacing him with Coutinho, when you've got Digne in the team, when you've got players like Leon Bailey on the form that he's in, as well as players that aren't even getting in the team, I just think we are. Look, it might all crumble, but I just think we're a different outfit this season.
Yeah. Craig, for you, in terms of Villa, how much have you been keeping tabs on Villa, and if anything, which players, are you fearful of in terms of coming up against on Saturday?
Aston Villa secretly in his recent search history.
To be fair, I think Matty Cash is a good quality player, and
Polish Cahill.
I think he's brilliant. I wish he was playing for England because I think he could do, couldn't he? And but I kept a little bit of tabs. Of course, last season, I think Steven Gerrard's building a decent side there. Like you were saying, of course, he is. It's a side that is gradually getting better and better, and I think what happened last season, against Watford, won't happen on Saturday. I'm still hopeful that we might get, a win, but I think it'll be a narrow win if we do, and I think it'll be a 1-0 job. But I think you're a good side. You're a good side, like every team is really in the Premier League, apart from Leeds. The Leeds fans hate me. Believe it or not, we've done
for good reason, apparently.
Yeah, they love me, Leeds. So I think I got about 450 messages on Twitter after I predicted them to finish bottom, and I've got to put out another video for tomorrow morning predicting them to finish bottom. So
you might get 500. You might get 500. Espen's asked a question of you, Craig. You've said they might get a narrow win there, and you're hopeful of that. How do Bournemouth beat Villa? And then, second question on that: how will they go ahead and beat other Premier League teams?
One thing that concerns me about Scott Parker, and one thing that we saw from the friendly against Real Sociedad, was that Parker decided to go to a back five. Now, I think that is personally, considering our defensive problems, is, it's ridiculous. I think it's absolute, it just won't work. I think what we will do is that we will control that midfield. Lerma can hold his own against Premier League midfielders. Lewis Cook, he's former England under-23 international. Again, he'll hold his own as well. You've got Billin, who's got an eye for a goal, very, very clever. And I think those three keeping control of the game. Plus, we've got Tavernier on the left-hand side, Christie on the right, who will do the attacking part for them. I think that's how, we will get results. We're not going to beat teams, we're not going to thrash any teams in the Premier League. We're not kidding ourselves on that. But I think we'll get, and we might play with the same impetus that Eddie had, which is we'll score one more than you do. We beat Liverpool 4-3, for example, last time we were in the Premier League. Everton, we were 3-1 down against. We were 3-0 down against them and brought it back to 3-3. And in fact, we did that again last season against Swansea, who Swansea are a very strange side that they've got a decent attacking presence, but they're an absolute shambles at the back.
Yeah.
And, they took us to town. It looked that night, and plus Forest were playing Fulham, and Forest beat Fulham. Swansea, with 30 minutes to go, were 3-0 up. I thought, well, this is curtains, and we brought it back to 3-0. And the two players up front who I think will stand out for us. So we've got Solanke. I think Solanke will do the job in the Premier League, and I think he's benefited from our relegation more than anybody because Wilson's gone, King's gone, and he's had to lead that line. He's had to show what he's all about. He's had the chance of having Danjuma for one season, putting in some great crosses to feed him up. And then last season, he didn't have that, but then he tracked back and was setting goals up for Billing, for Lerma, for Cook. So there is that element to it. If we need a target man in any games, Kiefer Moore. Now, he's not fast, but he's very, very... if you put Kiefer Moore in front of a goal with a goalkeeper and one defender, 9 times out of 10, he would score. And, I think that is... So Scott Parker probably has got a plan B, whereas at Fulham, I don't think he did.
Fair enough. Kev, we're going to go on to our lineup prediction for the game. Now, I've chosen a few players already for the team, and we'll debate on one or two of the others. So. Of Martinez in goal, obviously. Luca Dean left back. Diego Carlos will be in at centre back, and Matty Cash at right back. This is the debate here. Who gets the nod for the other centre back position for you?
I honestly, mate, I don't know. It could.
I'd say Chambers. Me personally, I'd say Chambers.
I think it should be Chambers based on form. I think it probably will be Mings based on reputation. I think it will be Konza.
Wait, we just throw a Marvelous Nakamura there, okay?
Don't. We want to win.
I'm going to say Chambers.
All right.
I think Chambers will just get the nod.
Good.
Then assuming Kamara is our DM, McGinn is our captain. Who gets in? Is it Louise? Is it Ramsey? Is it Buendia even? Is it Tim Irigbonham?
I think with the energy that and the fight that you've got in Bournemouth's midfield, I think someone of the energy of Ramsey will probably get the nod personally.
I'd like Buendia. I'd like to see Buendia, Bailey, Coutinho in behind Watkins.
Hasn't really ever played Buendia there, though, has he? Much?
Nah, I can't see
Buendia.
If he's playing as a player as an 8, it would be Jacob Ramsey.
Yeah.
If he's playing him as a 10, I'd like Buendia. But seeing as it's an 8, I'll concede to Jacob Ramsey.
And then, I mean, Watkins, it seems like he's got the shirt through the middle. Yeah. Has Leon Bailey definitely played his way into the team?
It's Coutinho, Bailey, Watkins, and for me, I'll be amazed if it's anything other than that. Coutinho on the left, Bailey on the right. Bailey's form is just too good in pre-season, and he's a real threat. And Coutinho is fit at Coutinho, and if he's fit, he's going to play. He's going to play. Although I will say one thing, he wasn't great away from home last season for us, but does it start the season off well if he drops him for the first game? So I just think it's going to be to start Coutinho, Bailey, Watkins.
like if it was me picking this team, like I would have Buendia in the 10, Bailey out right, Coutinho at left, and I would be brave in trying to go with Cameron Archer. I really would.
No chance.
I would.
Yes.
I'm
It's not happening.
I think
the season, I would absolutely be brave of going with Cameron Archer, and it's a perfect game for him. Again, Craig, no disrespect. It's against a newly promoted side. I think Cameron Archer might thrive on that chance.
Cameron Archer will come on when in a moment. He ain't anywhere near. I think he's a cracking talent, and he's got loads. But when you've got Ings and Watkins vying for that, Ings has just been given the number 9 shirt. I don't think he's going to be third choice striker coming onto the pitch in the first game of the season.
Time will tell.
Yeah. I think Archer will. I think Archer will certainly feature like from the bench, and then if he grabs his chance, then he could be the number 1 striker. But for the like you're saying, first game of the season against a newly promoted side, then that means you need to go with you need to go with a strong side and an experienced side to get the win on the board. I wouldn't expect him to, even playing the likes of Iro Bonham. Kessler Hayden's been putting pressure on you. You're just not going to risk young players until you're off to a good start. Craig, that team, Philip Coutinho, Leon Bailey, Ollie Watkins, John McGinn. Does that give you some cause for concern?
Yeah, most definitely. Coutinho, a quality player. Ollie Watkins, a very, very good striker, and coming up against, Lloyd Kelly, who, like I say, very good defender, but Chris Metham, and, well, who knows if Lloyd Kelly or Chris Metham get injured, you might be coming up against somebody who was playing for Fleetwood Town against Accrington Stanley a couple of years back. So,
who were they?
Exactly.
Exactly.
But, yeah, there's a lot of cause for concern considering where we are at the moment. I think where we have to control the game in the midfield. It'll be quite interesting, and whether or not Scott Parker does go with Tavernier to start off with, coming up against Matty Cash. I think on the right hand side, is where we could probably find you out. And Ryan Christie does like to cut inside. I wouldn't be surprised, if he's running at Digney and then takes to turn more central, or brings him to play.
Good luck.
It's I think Ryan Christie will stand out this season for us.
He might be
very
good.
Yeah. Well, I like your optimism. Before I get your score predictions, boys, and other people's score predictions, we've got comments on the starting 11. So, yeah, Gaza, we can't agree on the centre backs. That's definitely right. James, so could you play Emi Buendia as an 8? Yeah, he's asking the question of there, Martin. You definitely could. Yeah. Ings on the bench for me from Gaza. James said, I don't know where he's heard it, but Archer could be in the lineup. I don't see it for the first game, James. I don't see it. Aston, first game of the season, lots of pressure, newly promoted team, must-win game. You don't put Archer in there from the start. It's pretty much what we said. And Archer has never shown any fear. Absolutely not. And I do think if the game is tight with 20 minutes to go, I do think we might see Cameron Archer coming off the bench. And yeah, it'd be amazing if he bags the winner. And I will be in that away end, jumping over the seats if he does.
And you'd be saying that I should have listened to Martin Leonard from the first.
Yeah. I would just add one quick thing actually in terms of some of this debate around Villa's team, is that it's actually a really positive thing that I don't think any of us would be too disappointed if Archer was starting. I'd be surprised, but I don't think I'd be worried or staggered or Ings if Kessler Hayden started instead of Cash, if it was Buendia rather than Coutinho, if it was Sanson rather than Jacob Ramsey. I think if it was Irabunam rather than Kamara, if it was any of those centre-backs, that just says so much about our squad. And actually, the great thing Villa fans have got to think about this season is that the team that starts need to do a bloody good job to keep their shirt. If they don't do a good job, they'll be out and there'll be someone else in. So competition is there for the team now. And if you get the shirt, you need to make sure you bloody well keep it.
Yeah.
100%. Kev, actually, before we get your predictions, just want to say we have now officially hit 160 subscribers, so that is fantastic. We are well on the road to 200. Please, if you are watching and you haven't subscribed yet, please just click that subscribe button. We're on 10 likes at the moment. If we could get up to 20, 25 likes, that would be amazing. So please just click the like button just to help spread the word of our channel. We've been officially going as our own channel on YouTube for just under 2 weeks now, and to be at 200 subscribers, well, almost 200 subscribers, sorry, is fantastic. So yeah, please do hit the like button and please hit that subscribe button.
Well, Rich, we're only 99,840 off 100,000 subscribers now as well.
Exactly, and they say the first 1,000 is the hardest, so we'll be well on the way, mate. Once we
the acorn and the oak tree.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, about a week and a half in, we're on 160 already.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So it'd be dead easy, right? Craig, our guest on for today, give us your quick score predictions for Saturday, mate. Let me just say I cannot wait for football to start again. By the way, it is. It does seem like a long preseason. I know there's been friendlies. I know the women's did fantastic job of the Euros, but it's so good to have Premier League football back in 2 days.
England again, please, right? Can we not just? I just want to get over it.
But yeah, Craig, quick score prediction, please.
So our first ever game in the Premier League was against Aston Villa, which you probably remember.
Rudy just said.
Yeah. I think it'll be 1-0, but I think we'll get the win. And I'm going to put my neck on the line here. And I reckon that it'll be that man, Kiefer Moore, who comes off the bench.
Wow.
Bold
move. Martin, quick score prediction from you.
I think we're going to go. I think we can keep a clean sheet here. I think it's there for us. I'm going to go with 2-0. I don't think it'll be a run riot sort of game. You know, it's only the first game in. So 2-0 is respectful. I'm going to go with the man that was on a bit of form in pre-season, Leon Bailey. And I would like to see Cameron Archer from the bench to score a goal if he can. If not, I think Ollie Watkins will get a chance. Well, a goal after 50 chances. So that's my prediction. 2-0 Aston Villa.
Good stuff. Kev?
3-1 to Villa.
Oh, scorers?
Yeah. Well, I think Bournemouth will. Look, it's first game of the season at home. They're gonna. I don't think they're gonna sit back. I think they're gonna go for it. So I can see Bournemouth maybe nicking one. Maybe a dodgy VAR decision goes their way. And then for Villa, I think Watkins will score. I think Coutinho will score, and I think McGinn will score as well.
I'm gonna go 3-0. I'm gonna go 3-0, and I think Bailey will score. I think Watkins will score, and I do think Danny Ings will come on and score.
Can I just say that I think every time we predicted goal scorers, we've always said Ollie Watkins.
Well, you know, he plays up front, so
you'd be right.
If we were right, Ollie Watkins would be getting like 50 goals a season.
Yeah. Well, that's it. If we were right, we'd win the league without losing a game. If we were right with our score predictions as well, Martin. So that's usually what happens. James Saunders, 4-0 Villa.
Oh, Jesus.
Coutinho, Emi Buendia, Ings, and Bailey. Espen has gone 3-1 Villa with Bailey, Watkins, and Coutinho. If you could get anywhere just an inch to the left on his free kick, that would be great. So yeah, Costa to score. Who's Costa?
Probably
Carlos, maybe. Yes,
it's a new signing. So we're going to get Diego Costa in late doors.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
That's a new signing. Gaz is in the know. He knows all about. He's got all the transfer.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, fantastic comments from people watching, which is always great. Adds so much to the show. So thanks everyone for the comments. Craig, thank you so much for coming on today. Talk to us about where we can find you on social media and on your YouTube channel.
So the channel is called Up the Cherries in all departments. So if you search for UTC IAD Bournemouth, it will pop up. So we've had lots of shows. We've had the Harry Redknapp preview show, which we mentioned, the interview with him, Steve Fletcher, Steve Cook. We've had Mark Housey. We've had loads and loads of different varied guests as well. Actually, one that Villa fans will be interested in, Sean Teal.
Ah, yes.
Well,
Legend.
Sean
Legend.
Teal.
What a
Yes.
You are secretly an Aston Villa fan, Craig.
To be fair, a lot of the conversation was about Aston Villa during it, and also a bit about Harry Redknapp as well. I can't say much more, seeing as
Well,
I
we'll get over to
Harry.
your channel, mate, and we'll
We'll
watch it.
watch it,
Definitely,
we'll watch
we'll get over and watch it. But yeah, mate, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
If you want, we'll always be happy to return the favour if you want us to jump on your channel at any time.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
check out Craig's channel and check him out on what's your Twitter address, mate?
So you can find me at Craig Beasley 85. It's funny spelling, BEAZLEY 85. Or you can find me at UTC IAD AFCB, and that's the channel's Twitter account. So yeah, sign up to me, come and have a chat, and yeah, probably go this after you've beaten through our makeshift defence.
Craig, it's been great to have you, mate. And I genuinely, I wouldn't wish this to everybody, but good luck for the season. I really like Scott Parker
so
as a bloke. I think he's I just think he's a great character, a really noble guy. I think he's a real great work ethic. And I think that, to go down to the Championship to come back up is hard. I just hope you stick around. You play some nice football, and I think play a lot better football than a lot of Premier League teams do. So yeah, all the best for the season, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you so much, guys.
No worries.
Problem at all. Martin, Kev, thanks so much for jumping on. It's been a great, fun podcast. Like I say, please check us out. Please give us a like. Please subscribe to the channel. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And we will be back on Monday for our game. Is it Sunday or Monday?
Sunday.
Game on Saturday, so a match reaction on Sunday.
Sunday night.
As always, we all follow the Villa. Night, everyone.